Today on Light of the Word with Pastor Ray.
My human reasoning of that situation that I have with this person or this ministry and all that's before it, or my children and me. And once we put the human reasoning that God can't do it, then we remove God's supernatural. We remove, it will be our first point as God said it would be. He who began a good work will be faithful to complete it. There is nothing in my human reasoning that should stop me and say, my ultimate human logic is, my God is greater. We walk by faith and not by sight.
Open your heart to us, Lord, so we can know your word. We come before you, Jesus. Speak to our hearts as we discover your love for us. How wide, how deep, how far. Pour into us so we can learn to follow. One surrender at a time. You have made the way for us to know you. A path that's straight and right. By the light of the word.
Is God the priority in your heart? Can you truly say He's the first and last one you think of every day, and that you pray for Him every day? In today's message, Pastor Ray is going to show you the importance of being close to God in the last days. As temptation is thrown at you and the sins of the world become more common, you'll need that intimacy with God to navigate through life. You can't do God's will if you don't know what it is. Spend time with Him in His Word and in prayer. Get to know Him more. Well, let's join Pastor Ray in the book of Revelation chapter 18 for today's edition of Light of the Word.
In verse 9 through 11, the king of the earth who committed fornication and lived luxuriously with her will weep and lament for her when they see the smoke of her burning, standing at a distance for fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, the great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour your judgment has come, and the merchants of the earth will weep and mourn over her, for no one buys their merchandise any more. They have no care for the poor. They have no care for the needs of others. As they're looking, they only are going to say, oh, our pocketbooks, how horrible what we just witnessed in 1 hour. Verse 12 through 13, I call it the mall. I joke, I love the big screen because now I can cram even more on it. I've been counseled, you're supposed to just make the font bigger. I go, no, I can put more on it. Look at this. I'll probably keep slipping my tongue and call it the American Mall, but it's a picture of American Mall. When we were traveling, we were coming through Qatar, United Arab Emirates, and you can see in the airports, it looks like this. So even though the American Mall may be on its downward with Amazon in the Middle East and these type of things, this is a place that they find, wealth and opulence and the riches and luxury. And everything you're going to read here is luxury, which is interesting when you think of this. And the merchants of the earth will weep and mourn. Verse 12, merchandise of gold and silver, precious stones and pearls, fine linen and purple, silk and scarlet, every kind of citron wood, every kind of object of ivory, every kind of object of most precious wood, bronze, iron, and marble, and cinnamon and incense, fragrant oil and frankincense, wine and oil, fine flour, not just regular flour, fine flour and fine wheat, cattle and sheep, horses and chariots, and bodies and souls of men. As I look through the luxury of the mall, first floor is jewelry. Look at the riches of the jewelry, precious stones and pearls. Second floor is the clothing, not just, blue jeans to give me something so I'm not naked. It's fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet. Third floor is home furnishings. fine wood, manner of vessels, ivory, precious wood, brass, iron, and marble. Fourth floor is cosmetics, cinnamon, odors, ointments, and frankincense. The fifth floor is the food court, wine and oil and fine flour, again, not regular flour, and wheat, and beasts and sheep. Sixth floor is going to be automotive, horses and chariots. So when you talk horses and chariots in the time of this writing, we're talking military might and power. So there's going to be power brokering for the military might things, but I'm sure there's Lamborghinis and Porsches, which are amazing, still being manufactured with everything that's going on in the disaster of the world. But as we look at this fine food court, I look at these things because part of me goes, everything's a luxury except beast and sheep, until you realize, no, the earth is scorched, the grass has been destroyed. Cattle is going to be a premium. It's going to be some special food. It's not going to be common like it is to us here today. And it's not just flour, it's fine flour. It's not just, hey, I got some type of grain that I can eat to make a sandwich and survive. It's bread. It's going to be this best of the best. And I tell the story when I went to Nicaragua several years ago, and I've been some places, and when I came in, my friend Dean, he's such a character. I'd been there before, but he's such a character. I'm like an hour from the mission compound. Someone shows up at the airport to greet me and go, "Hey, Ray, Dean says he can't meet because he's in the middle of a special outreach at this certain location, but he said you'll figure out how to get to the mission compound." I go, "Well, are you going to take me?" "No, I got to go somewhere else. But Dean just wanted me to tell you, you're on your own." So here I am in Nicaragua. I'm on my own. I knew 2 words, thankfully, maybe 3, but I knew how to say left and right. And Dean must have been right, because I hailed a taxi and I was able to say the word left and right in Spanish. And somehow, by God's grace, I was able to get to the mission compound saying, in Spanish, left and right. So I get there and everybody's gone from the compound, and the compound's locked up. And I'm outside, and there's this wall kind of sloped. So I'm sitting on this wall and I'm watching the poverty, 90% poverty. Imagine unemployment. Can you imagine what 90% unemployment looks like? 90% unemployment. Desperate. I'm sitting there and I'm saying, "Lord, I can't relate to this. I know in 2 weeks I get back on an American plane. I fly back to America. I fly back to America. I'm back in all of my American comforts. And I got money in my pocket while I'm here." And I made the prayer. I said, "Lord, help me to relate." So that night I went to bed in the mission compound. Don't ask me how and why, but other than I made that prayer. I woke up in the morning and someone had slipped into the room and stole all of my money. Praise God, they left my passport, but they stole all my money. And so for 2 weeks, I had no money. Guess what I did for 2 weeks? I ate at the feeding ministry, beans and rice, for 2 weeks. One of the missionaries there from the next base over, he had come, and me and him, connected. And after like 2 or 3 days, he knows the story. He goes to me, he goes, "Ray, you're going to melt." He goes, "You are not built to not live off large quantities of protein daily." He goes, "I'm going to take you to get beef tonight. I'm going to take you to McDonald's. We'll have to catch a cab, et cetera, et cetera." And I'll tell you this, I don't eat McDonald's, but I'm going to tell you this. That was the best burger I ever ate in my life. And I'm making the point about that just to bring some, levity into this American mall, the cattle. When you don't get meat, this will be a fine delicacy. You go to this food court, all these luxuries, and it's interesting as we look at, these are all luxuries. None of them are truly, when you read them, none of them are truly subsistence. They're just luxuries. And so we're going to see in this period that we're going to have the haves and the have-nots, the rich and the poor. There's no middle in between here. And here's the thing that we see and look at, I call it the basement verse 13, and slaves and souls of men. That word slave literally means bodies. This is the basement, adult bookstore, pornography, prostitution, drugs. They are going to use and abuse in this period of time. They'll still be using, abusing enslavement and trafficking and the things of the flesh. What's interesting is, you read enough commentaries and the likes, what people, 90, at least half or more of my commentaries, they say this is, of course. Who does it sound like? United States of America. Everything you just read, United States of America. That's why we do prophecy update, so we can pray accordingly. Do you know that Border Patrol quit doing DNA testing of the women coming in with the children? Do you know that? You know why? Because 66% of the DNA tests of those children didn't line up with the woman. She was simply escorting to bring these children in. Oh, God help America, that we're allowing this trafficking. These children are told, come in for this glory, and then the next thing they're going to be taken into the nightmare of trafficking. And that's what we can do as a church. We can pray about it. We can at least do something. We can pray, and we can stand and go, no, we don't agree with this. Someone do something. Block them at the border so that they can't put legal parameters in. Get back to the DNA testing that we can, not saying they can't come in, but protect them when we bring them in. I'm not against immigration at all, but I am against anything that is like this basement that we see coming in here. And here's what the Lord says, and of course what I just said, why wouldn't we? He says, verse 20, rejoice over her, O heaven, and you holy apostles and prophets, for God has avenged you on her. Yes, we will all be saying thank you, praise the Lord, when you bring this system down and you destroy this system that is culminating before our very eyes. It's the only place in 6 through 19, this tribulation period, that God uses the word rejoice. And we will rejoice. Slaves will be set free. All this lying of seek now, prosperity, and these type of things. And that's why the Lord speaks to us, hey, come out of her. Don't let these things take you and pull you out of these things. But there's an application, and I know I'm hitting my mark, but I'm pretty much close to my mark here. There's a powerful application that I have here, that I look at these things. As I told you, some will go, this can't be Babylon. 50% of the commentaries, it's United States, it's New York, Wall Street. Oh, it's Tokyo, stock market there. It's London. All of them have seaports, all of them, because, the merchants are sitting off there crying, oh, the destruction of these things. Verse 15, the merchants of these things who have become rich by her will stand at a distance for fear of her torment, weeping and wailing and saying, alas, alas, the great city that was clothed in fine purple and scarlet and adorned with gold and precious stones and pearl. For in 1 hour such great riches came to nothing. Every shipmaster, all who traveled by ship sailing, and as many as trade on the sea, stood at a distance and cried out when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what is like this great city? They threw dust in their heads and cried out, weeping and wailing and saying, alas, alas, the great city in which all who had ships on the sea became rich by her wealth, for in 1 hour she is desolate. So people will go, this can't be Babylon. Babylon's 50 miles south. I know you probably can't see that too well. But Babylon's about 50 miles south of Baghdad, and it's about 300 miles from the Persian Gulf, 500 or 600 miles from the Mediterranean when you get into shipping channels. And they go, it can't be. It literally can't be Babylon, because you could not see smoke, a nuclear boom on this city, even as it was like Hiroshima. You can't see that plume from 300 miles away, because these ships can't get up there to Babylon because they're stuck in there. Here's the point I'm making. There's the spiritual application, because my point that I'm making about this is human reasoning ends in bankruptcy. They thought this makes sense to join into this Babylonian one world system, one world religion. They end up bankrupt in 1 hour. And you know, a Christian, the same thing can happen to us when we bring in this human reasoning. People come with the human reasoning and they go, it can't be Babylon because you can't see a nuclear exchange from that far. In the 60s, Russia, they called it Big Ivan, 50,000 kiloton bomb. They had to make a special plane just to take it up. And they detonated that over a city that was abandoned, 34-mile broadness, and it destroyed the whole city. Here's what's interesting about that is they record that the plume went as high as 40 miles. You know, when you fly, you're flying at 6 miles, 30,000 feet. What does that little Baltimore look like when you're at 30,000, 6 miles, right? We're like, man, I'm up here. Imagine if we were flying, we would need special equipment to fly at that height. Imagine flying at 40 miles high. Well, this is what's being said. That nuclear went 40 miles high. You'd be able to see that from 300 miles away. But here's interesting things as well, is it's not meant that you could see this, but this is old school to pull this clip from 1974, Iraq to improve Tigris and Euphrates. You know, do you realize, you may not know this, but the Euphrates River, at its height when it's fully filled, you know, it goes down 75, 100 feet. You know, it's actually deeper than our Baltimore Channel. What kind of cargo ships are we bringing up to the Baltimore Channel? I mean, since the Key Bridge, we've even become all more understanding of what this means. Well, the Euphrates is as deep as the Baltimore harbor and port. And you're seeing the Euphrates and the Tigris flowing down there to the Persian Gulf. What did we read of what's going to happen for the Magog invasion? What needs to be dried up? The Euphrates. You know why the Euphrates is so low? Because Turkey controls the dam that keeps it low. This Antichrist, he's going to have full control. He'll say what water flows and what. You could easily see this Euphrates River come back up to any level you want. You could dredge it out any way that you want as well. The cargo ships coming in the Persian Gulf could easily go up the Euphrates River and come up to Babylon and get loaded and come back out. You can see this Big Ivan, which there's probably bigger nukes than that. You can see it 40 miles high. You can see these things. But we come and we read this and we go, it can't happen because today's nuclear technology. It can't happen because of what we know with the Euphrates River today. And here's the thing. It can happen. And everything I just said was man-made. And here's what I'm saying. God takes out this Babylon, it's supernatural. It's not going to be, nowhere does it say it's a nuclear exchange. It could be. I don't think so. I think God's judging, and he will bring this fire from this angel down from heaven. Absolutely. We're going to finish here in just a minute, and we're going to read the millstone, cast it into the sea. I say it to myself, great application for every one of us today. The minute you put your human reasoning into anything, you just remove God's supernatural ability. We walk by faith, not by sight. And there's a place that all of us can come in and go, my human reasoning says this can't be Babylon. It's because of this, this, and this. It's got to be New York. It's got to be London. It's got to be Tokyo. And I can come into a human reason and go, you know what? Because of me, because of this, because of who I am, because of the situation, I can never be changed into his glory. This struggle that I have, I can never overcome because my human reasoning. My human reasoning of that situation that I have with this person or this ministry and all that's before it, or my children and once we put the human reasoning that God can't do it, then we remove God's supernatural. We remove, it will be our first point as God said it will be. He who began a good work will be faithful to complete it. There is nothing in my human reasoning that should stop me and say, my ultimate human logic is, my God is greater. We walk by faith and not by sight. And that is the power that we see here through these things. But you know what, Christian, again, the minute you say it's impossible, guess what? it's impossible. But the minute you say, with God, all things are possible, then what does it become? Possible. And supernatural, God doing supernatural things, because I look and say, logic, what's illogical? That God would step out of heaven and go to a cross and die for me, and that he did. And so verse 21, as we close, and we must, better a millstone. All the stumbling of this one world religion, all the stumbling causes a child to stumble. These are God's creation that makes them God's children. But even the equipping and all that we even see here today of this continual embedding into our children that Jesus Christ isn't the only way. The world and all the trappings of it follow after that. Verse 21 through 24. Then a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and threw it into the sea, saying, thus with violence. See, that's not a nuke. The great city Babylon shall be thrown down and shall not be found any more. The sound of the harpists, musicians, flutists, and trumpeters shall not be heard. Sound like what we just read, Jeremiah 51, Isaiah 13. It will be as God said it will be. No craftsman of any craft shall be found in you anymore, and the sound of a millstone shall not be heard in you anymore. And the light of a lamp shall not shine in you anymore, and the voice of the bridegroom and the bride shall not be heard in you anymore. For your merchants were the great men of the earth, for by your sorcery all the nations were deceived. And in her was found the blood of the prophets and the saints of all who were slain on the earth in 1 hour. Mark 9, whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to stumble would be better if a millstone were hung around his neck and he were thrown into the sea. Our application, what do we do with this? Matthew 6, seek first the kingdom of God. Matthew 6:9, do not lay up for yourself treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal, but lay up for yourself treasures in heaven where neither moth nor rust destroys and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be. I read a story by a man named Dietrich Reinhold, and he tells the story. He was the richest man in his community. And he had this dream that in his dream, a voice spoke to him in his dream at midnight, the richest man in this town and community will die. And being the richest man, so he believed, woke up in fear with his riches, called for the doctor to come, stay with me till midnight, be here to aid me in anything that I need to be ready at midnight if this dream is fulfilled. And so they waited, and the clock struck midnight, and when the clock struck midnight and the moment passed, Dietrich Reinhardt breathed a sigh of relief. Here I still am, alive and well. And then a pounding at the door, shaking and reverberating. And when the door was opened, it was one of the town criers bringing the news, the great news that Christian servant of the Lord, Hans, has just passed away, and he has died right at midnight. And in that moment, Dietrich Reinhardt knew that his dream was real. And he came to the understanding who the richest man in town really was. It was the servant of the Lord, and his name was Hans. Changed his life.
You have made the way for us to know you, a path that's straight and bright. By the light of the world.
You've been listening to a message from the book of Revelation on Light of the Word. Pastor Ray is covering many challenging topics and passages that are mentioned in Revelation, but following all the strange imagery and destructive events that occur in this book, there's a beautiful resolution to it all. There's a celebration, a wedding, a hope for a future without sin. Wouldn't that be such a relief? Revelation can be difficult to parse through, and understanding it all is impossible with our finite minds. But as the book plays out, and as God continues to reveal and show His will and way, you might be amazed at what He's doing and why. God is full of love for people and wants relationships with them. But if people willfully choose against Him, He's not going to force them into a relationship. He gives people free will. Our hope and prayer is that this book of the Bible is drawing you closer into relationship with God, and that you're able to appreciate His warnings, His grace, and His justice in conquering evil. To learn more about this ministry, go to lightoftheword.info. You'll also notice that Pastor Ray has written a devotional that is a companion resource to these teachings in the book of Revelation. It's free and available on our website. Thanks for listening to Light of the Word, illuminating the heart of God.